free till 6:30.
Yes.
We are live. We'll be starting in a minute, like once people join in. There are 17 people right now. Aru says hi, Rohan says hi, Devansh says hi.
Hello, everyone.
Okay, so I'll start off. Hi, Rohan. It's been a really great pleasure to have you with us today. I'll just give a quick introduction, although my introduction will be very technical. And then you can maybe tell us more about you, some sides of you that we have no idea about. So, Rohan is currently working as a project lead at BCG. Consulting, Rohan has also authored a novel, The Promises We Made, which has been featured at so many places, Times of India, Millennium Post, and Femina Magazine, just to name a few. He also holds a bachelor's in computer science from IIT Kanpur and an MBA from IIM Ahmedabad. You also have a master's in management from EBS Business School, Germany. I think that would have been foreign exchange, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah.
Right. And in your free time, you maintain an active blog on Quora. You also have a travel blog on Instagram. And you've written a lot of interesting things on Quora, like I went through your page. But why don't you tell us more about yourself from your side? Because I know there is a lot more, like there are a lot more layers. You played badminton inter IIT. You've also done some salsa. So do let us know.
Yeah, no, so thanks for the introduction, Vidika. Glad to be here. Thanks for reaching out. Yeah, I mean, I think I started writing on Quora during the time that I actually joined my MBA at IIM Ahmedabad, right? And that is when I really got introduced to the world of writing. And thankfully, it worked out well because everybody really, gave very positive reviews, and that then translated into LinkedIn, that then translated into the book, and also the Instagram blog. So yeah, I mean, I do a lot of things. I write very actively. I also dance. That is something that I got introduced to when I was in Germany for my exchange at EBS. A few of my friends were into dancing, especially Latin dancing, salsa, bachata, and that is when they introduced me to the world of dancing, and I've been dancing ever since. So yeah, I mean, there's this side to me, which is, which is related to IT, IIM consulting. But the side that I really love is related to, my hobbies, which are writing, dancing. I also play badminton. So yeah.
I read somewhere on one of your Quora posts that you did not want to live a conventional life. And I think you've ticked that box completely. And I hope that you tick it even more in the future. Uh, and a lot of other interesting things also. Like you took a year and a half off for a solo trip. You went backpacking to Europe, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah.
So let us know about your journey writing the book, because I believe that was the same timeline that you wrote the book, right? So some of the challenges that you faced, did you face like a writer's block? And how did the entire story come through?
Yeah. No, so I had the story in mind that I really wanted to write, and I've always wanted to write a fiction book. During my job with consulting, I wasn't able to take out time actively for it. I started writing during the weekends, but then I just decided to take some time off and travel. And, it wasn't a year and a half, it was a month and a half, 45 days. So I was in Europe for 45 days, just backpacking. I took a, break from work completely, no work at all. And I did not have any set agenda in mind. I was just going to different places in Europe, sitting in cafes, exploring, dancing. I was dancing a lot during those 45 days. But yeah, I mean, I got a lot of free time during those days. That also helped me think more. It boosted up my creativity as well. And that was the time that I utilized to actually finish the novel. I used to just sit in different cafes, look at different scenery, and then just get inspired and write. Of course, the writer's block always comes whenever you try to write something long, especially a book which has 50,000, 60,000 words. A writer's block will come. But then if you have a story in mind and then you kind of keep pushing yourself to it, and there are less distractions, then that kind of is still manageable. You can still manage that writer's block. And that is why I took that break, because I really wanted to be in a place where I was completely in my own zone, and where I was, which was different from my comfort zone as such, because I wasn't at home, or I wasn't somewhere where I already knew people. I think that definitely helped. I finished the book there, but then I started the publication journey once I came back to India. I reached out to a few publishers, and Srishti Publishers agreed to publish the book, and it's been a great journey after that.
That sounds amazing, and something that I personally relate to, because I had read Chetan Bhagat, and I just thought this is what I want to, get a perfect educational or so-called conventional education that parents throw on our head, that this is what it's supposed to look like, and then write and just enjoy life. And I think you're doing it at an even larger scale. So kudos to you. Uh, how did your Quora journey help you in the book writing process? And have you seen any changes in the way that, I mean, you obviously would have seen changes in the way that you used to write earlier on Quora and then through the years?
Yeah, I think my book would have never happened had Quora not been there, honestly, because Quora gave me a lot of confidence, in myself, also in my writing skills, confidence, and also the improvement that I've seen in my writing, which is related to your second question. Right, because when I actually started writing on Quora, before that I had not exactly written on any platform, right? So I did not know how people would perceive my writing, or whether people would be able to relate to my writing style. So that is where Quora kind of came in and gave me that confidence that yes, I can write, and people would love it. That was one, the confidence bit, and then the second bit was how my writing style evolved over the years, which also helped me in the book, which was that I started making my content much more relatable by actually sharing my experiences, instead of just sharing motivation without any relevant experience attached to it. Right. So I think that is how my writing style in Quora evolved over the years, compared to when I started earlier. If you look at my post right now, they would always have a story which is related to something that I've actually gone through, and then that links to a life experience or to a life lesson, right? So I think that is the key change or shift in the writing style that I've made over the years, and that has been based on the feedback from a lot of readers, and that's worked quite well.
I think people love that whole story aspect because they feel that they can relate to it, like they can relate to you because you're sharing a part of your personal life with them. Uh, but I wanted to ask you more about how badminton and dance has. I know you do it for fun, but do you think it has kind of helped you have some kind of discipline or some value added skills that have been implemented in your career and work life?
Definitely. So both of these skills in general, I mean, if you look at badminton, let me start with badminton first. What it taught me was definitely, you use the right word, discipline. Because when we were playing for the inter IIT, right, during my college days, we used to wake up at 4 a.m. Every day. And I was at computer science, which is a very tough stream overall, right? But we would still wake up at 3:30 or 4, even during winters, which is very, very cold in Kanpur, almost as cold in Delhi, so the Delhi people can relate. And we would do a lot of workouts. We would run around the ground. We would play every day, and then we would go on to do our normal courses over the day, and then every evening we would still come to the court and we would still play. So it taught me dedication and consistency in terms of actually waking up early, taking out time, because I had a goal in mind. I wanted to play inter IT, and that is why, how do you kind of be consistent with your workouts? How do you be consistent with stretching yourself to your limits? That is what badminton really taught me. Apart from that, of course, there's a lot of elements related to stress management, which are very, very helpful in my current job, because when you are actually on the court and there's so many people watching each and every move that you're making, and there are a lot of expectations from you because you're representing the institute in your game, right? And the opponents that are playing against you are also obviously very strong because they have the same pressure from their side, right? So it's a very, very intense environment, and you're actually on the court, and I can actually imagine it in my head right now. You're actually on the court, and there are so many spectators around you. There's hushed silence when you hit the shuttle, and then once the shuttle is hit, right, you everything in that moment, it's like a few seconds before the shuttle can actually fall, and you have a few seconds where you have to make a lot of decisions, right? You have to look at the shuttle, you have to understand where it is going, you have to hit it at the right angle, you have to look at where the opponent is standing, you have to understand where he or she might go, right? If you hit the shuttle in the right manner. So there's a lot of stress, there's a lot of decisions that have to happen very quickly, and that is what I really take away from badminton, and that has been very, very helpful even now. Right. So I think that has definitely been the greatest learning from badminton. And then when it comes to dancing, I think I started dancing because I really wanted to try something which I'd never done before. I mean, I used to run away from dancing at family functions. At weddings, if anyone would play a song and there's some dancing going on, I would just run away from the wedding itself. I was that kind of a kid during my childhood days. But I really fell in love with salsa when I got introduced to it, and that really helped me open up a lot, because by default, dancing, especially lantern dancing, is something that you do as in a social environment, right, with a lot of people, because by the very nature of its dance, you're dancing with somebody, right, and that somebody keeps changing with each song or with each place that you go to. So it helps me be a lot more open to people, which is definitely something that is also very, very important in my day-to-day life, especially as a consultant, where I'm meeting a lot of people that I don't know at all, right? And every project, I'm meeting a lot of new clients. Every project within BCG also is with a different set of people, right? So how do you kind of be more open to everybody, be more receptive, and also just keep on, growing, whether it's your hobby or whether it's in your job. I think all of that just comes back to me whenever I think of dancing.
Yeah, so Rohan, that was your latest post, I guess, about badminton, the microseconds that you have to take decisions. which is when I contacted you and you were kind enough to reply as well. I relate to that completely because I used to train like 12 to 14 hours a day and then come back and even study and again go back. It teaches you to deal with different people, like you said. You're facing different opponents at different points. You're trying to analyze them and you're even trying to face them in microseconds, as you said. But the role that IIT and IIM as institutions, they must have played even greater role in your life to what you have been, like what you are today. So could you tell us more about your journey at IITs and IIM and how it helped you to become what you're today?
Definitely, I agree that IT and IIM have played a very pivotal role, and I think it began even before IT. It began when I started preparing for IT. That is the period really that helped define me a lot, because those 2 years, that are preceding IT, those are, I actually dedicated those 2 years completely to IT, to the JEE preparation. And, of course, the school was there. I had to manage all of that together. But the dedication it takes to actually, not do anything else for 2 years and just devote yourself to the preparation of one exam is incredible, right? And especially when the syllabus is very tough and you are competing on a national level. And I obviously had some inkling of how difficult it would be, but I think those 2 years definitely helped give me the right mindset to to kind of grow. I made a lot of friends during my JE days. I'm still in touch with them, who had a similar mindset, and I think that also your peer group definitely helps, wherever you are. But I think that was a pivotal moment. And then, of course, when IIT actually happened, I actually got to meet a lot of these very, very smart people. And, again, bringing back my point on peer group, I've learned more from them than I've learned in any of my courses, right? I mean, I did my BTech in computer science, which I don't use right now because I shifted later to management. But I think my learnings from those days are primarily related to the peer group, because I had a great set of friends. Each one of them were amazing in their own way, and I learned a lot. I also learned a lot from the professors. And I don't mean, when I learn a lot, I don't mean the content of the courses, that was important, but just in general about life, about how to dream high, right? I think that is the most important thing that I got from IT. I always say that IT taught me how to dream high, and then IIM actually gave me the wings and tools to actually achieve those dreams, right? So that is how I would say it. IIMA was tough. IIMA was, very, very intense in terms of the amount of things we had to do. It was different from my experience at IIT, because IIT was, we would attend classes. We don't have to speak at all. We would just sit there. The professor would give us a lot of gyan and, teach us about the courses, and then we would leave. And I remember my first day at a class at IIMA, the professor said I would not say anything. I would only speak 10% of the times, and 90% of the times it's you guys who would be speaking during the class. That was a very, very different shift from what I was used to. But yeah, I mean, I think IIMA made me a lot more confident. It taught me exactly what I wanted to do, because I had no clue what I wanted to do in life. I had heard about consulting, but I didn't exactly know what it is, or whether I would actually want to pursue it a lot or not. IIMA actually gave me the tools and the path to achieve that as well. Plus the exchange program that I went to, I have a lot of memories from there. The best one being the introduction to dancing.
That's very interesting. When I personally joined IIM Rohtak into the course, we had an orientation wherein a professor from IIM Ahmedabad had come and they were discussing about the IIM culture. So there he mentioned that in IIM Ahmedabad, it's really rigorous, that you have a trimester system, and then you have assignments just before exams and all of that. And they are actually replicating that right here. We are having exams in the next week, and we are having 3 assignments due already in the next 2 days. So how did that culture, like that kind of a rigor, shape you with the consulting career right now? It must be really hectic as a consultant in your life today. Like, you can explain us comparing a day in your life versus how IIM's rigorous culture helped you manage this day.
So that definitely that rigorous culture teaches you how to be flexible with a lot of things, with a lot of deadlines happening at the same time. So you can't say that I have an exam tomorrow, so I will only prepare for the exam and I will not do anything else, right? That is the key difference between IIMA and between IT, because in IT you would have a week of break before exams and you would only be preparing for exams. Right, in IIMA, we had a lot of things going on, like you correctly pointed out, Navya. We had a lot of assignments with strict deadlines. We had surprise quizzes. Even a week before the exams, we had surprise quizzes, and we only had half an hour to prepare for those quizzes, because we would get to know at around 2:45 that there's a quiz at 3:30, right? And that was a complete surprise for us. Many of us would just leave our food and then rush to prepare for the quizzes. So it taught us to always be on our feet. And that is what consulting is also about, because in consulting, every single day is different. Like, I've been here for almost 5 years now. I've not seen 2 days which have been the same for me. I plan a lot of things. That I plan that my week will go like this. I plan during weekends, I plan, what are the meetings I will do during the week, what are the deliverables I have to do, what are my priorities. Within 2 days, everything changes, because a lot of new priorities come up from the client side or internally, right? And a lot of new sets of challenges come up. You think that you will be able to implement this in this set of time, but there are so many challenges that come up that actually, delay what you want to do, or, completely take you off guard. And then you have to think on your feet and resolve those as well. So I think just managing a lot of tight deadlines under a lot of stress, and kind of multitasking, that is what consulting is all about, while at the same time applying yourself fully, because you're solving a lot of very important problems for the client, which are super important, because they can actually break the company as well in a lot of cases, right? So I think that that learning has definitely come from my days at IIM.
And secondly, you also give career advice, as you have mentioned on your LinkedIn. So you must have faced this question a lot of times, I'm assuming, but this is one time we would also like to ask, that you have taken up IIT, then changed to IIM, and then did CFA along the way, cleared level 1, and then have done consulting, which is why I mentioned that you left no stone unturned. But is it natural for anybody to be exploring fields like this? Is it natural for natural? But people would want to hear from you whether you were also confused or very, very clear about it in your mind and you were not trying to explore.
So a mix of both. One, I was confused. I was very confused, and I will not say I have it all figured out even now, to be honest, in terms of what I want to do in life. And it's normal and okay to be confused at that time, because right now, which is very different from how it was a few years earlier. Right now, there's a lot of awareness about different fields that is going on. Students in class 10th, 11th are actually on LinkedIn, which is very, very different from how it was earlier, right? So it is good to be confused, actually, because that means that you're exploring things. You're not just taking things for granted. You're actually exploring your interests. You want to understand what's best for you. And it's okay if you don't have it figured out even after you finish your BTech, or even after you do something else. It's okay to still change your stream. So why I did that was, I always wanted to go to IIT. That is the only thing that I'd heard in my childhood days, that, you have to go to IIT, you have to go to IIT. I did not even know what it meant before I did that, right? So that was my only goal so far. But once I actually entered IT, I realized that I did not like computer science that much. I enjoyed it, but I did not want to pursue a career in it. And that is okay, right? You at that point, if anybody feels that they want to switch, they should be able to switch. And thankfully, the Indian education system actually provides that flexibility, because you can do a lot of things after your BTech or your bachelor's, right? You can pursue an MBA, you can appear for government exams, you can give UPSC, right? And there are so many other things. You can go for a master's in a very, very different field as well. And then there are new courses coming up, which are non-conventional sorts of courses as well, right? So all of those give you the flexibility to switch your stream. People still, like, there's this quote that goes that agar MBA ही करना था तो IIT क्यों किया, या फिर अगर बैंक में जॉब करनी थी तो फिर इंजीनियरिंग क्यों की. I don't believe in all of those at all. I believe that you have the flexibility to change, and that it's okay to change, because it's very difficult to say at any point of time that this is exactly what I'm going to do for the rest of my life, especially when you are a kid, especially when you are at 11th or 12th. It's very, very different and very difficult to kind of say that, this is what I want to do. So it's okay to change. I also explored finance a bit. I did my CFA level 1 because I just wanted to understand how it is, whether I would find it interesting or not. I wasn't sure that it would be useful in consulting, but once I actually entered consulting, I realized that it's not very, very relevant to the work that I'm doing. So I did not pursue CFA level 1 after that. But I had the time, so I actually decided to explore that as well. Even during my BTech, I was exploring a few electives which are related to management, which were not related to computer science at all. Again, to just explore my interests, understand whether management would appeal to me or not. I did an internship also, which was related to management, just because I wanted to understand whether I would be interested in management or not. Right. So it's very, very normal to explore things, and I would actually encourage everybody to do that. Go for internships in streams that are not your own, right? Because otherwise you would never explore that field. You would never know whether that field appeals to you or not. Try courses or electives that are, not in your traditional comfort zone or not in your traditional stream. Whether it is during your bachelor's, whether it is during your MBA. Try online courses. There are so many good online courses that are there, whether it is Coursera or MOOC, to kind of explore your interests. Right now, there's a lot of awareness. There are lots of opportunities to explore.
Now that you brought up the point of courses and skills that we can learn, we indeed have a lot of options. Like we can do digital marketing, we can do, let's say, journalism, anything that we would want. But I know there's no set answer to this question, but what are the 3 main qualities that any recruiter would want to watch in a candidate? Like qualities from the point of view of a recruiter from the MBB, McKinsey and BCG.
Yeah. So the number one thing that they look at, and I've been doing a lot of recruitment as well, so I know what the main qualities are, is good and consistent academic performance. Right? Because you might be a rock star in a lot of things, but if your academic performance is not up to the mark, I would not say that you will not perform well. It just sets a signal to the firm that if your academic performance is not at the top, you might not be able to take the rigor that a consulting profile needs. Right? Again, all of these are signals. I have seen lots of top performers who did not have a good academic profile as well. But when you have to sort out thousands of CVs and look at shortlisting fast, academic performance definitely is one of the criteria. How do you define a top academic performance? That depends on the different colleges, right? Because every college would have its own set of criteria. Some would give percentages, some would give CGPA. So we actually have alums from those colleges usually looking at the CVs because they understand the CVs the best. They understand the nuances of the scores the better, right? So that kind of works out. That is one. Second is, and we call these spikes in the CV. right? How many spikes you have, academic performance is a spike or not. So that is one. Second is your overall profile in terms of internships that you have done, or if you have any prior work experience before your MBA, right? Where was that work experience? Is that a good experience? Did you do very well in your job? If it was a research internship, how was your project, right? Where was it? If you actually were able to create an impact in terms of numbers and that shows on your CV, that definitely helps, because that brings it more to reality that, I did whatever 10% reduction in cost in, these many days. Obviously, you can't implement 10%, but the ideas that you gave might have led to a 10% cost reduction later, right? So all of that helps in showing that you can create an impact if you are hired. So that is the second one. And then third one is anything related to either your extracurriculars or PORs to show that you do something which is apart from just core academics, or apart from just the proper internships, etc. Because of two reasons. One, that brings another side of you, right? That you are multifaceted, you do a lot of things. But that is not the only reason. The main reason is that you are able to manage your time well between your personal and professional lives. You are able to kind of multitask, do a lot of things, and still be able to perform well. Because as you grow up, you would have a lot of responsibilities, personal and professional. You would have a lot of different responsibilities. How well are you able to manage all of those together, right, without letting either of them overwhelm you, right? Because both are equally important. Your personal life is very important, your professional life is very important, right? So how do you manage all of that together? That is the third element that comes out from your CV, by actually looking at what all do you do apart from academics and extra academics, internships, or work experience. You do not have to be a rock star in all three, right? Which is virtually, I would not say impossible, but very difficult. Very few people have that. And that is why we have spikes. So you might have a spike in academics, you might not have a spikes in extracurricular, which is okay. If you have like 2 spikes, it's okay. If you have more than 2, if you have 3 spikes, you are very good. If you have 2 and the third one is okay-ish, that also works for a shortlisting. And that again depends from college to college, depends from company to company. But that is basically the set of tools that we look at just for the shortlisting stage. Once the CV is shortlisted, it is all about your communication, your problem solving, how well are you able to think on your feet, because then it's the interview stage, right? So you'll be given case studies to actually crack during the interview. So it's all about how well you are able to solve a problem. If I recruit you and I put you in front of a client, will I be able to trust you to be able to lead the client conversation, ask the relevant questions, solve the problem that the client wants you to solve, right? So it's all about problem solving after that point.
I'm sure these spikes are your secret sauce to where you're today. 2-3 spikes seen in the CV and you're where you're today. One last question from our side, and we'll take up questions from the aspirants. This question is something technical. I mean, it could be something which is only asked to us, but you might not be able to answer it in the best way possible, but we'd want to know your perspective as well. So IPM is a 5-year program, like I mentioned, a BBA plus MBA. Now, the confusion that comes into the aspirant's mind is, should I be doing some other course and then writing CAT and then coming to an IIM and doing an MBA? Or should I directly go to an IPM course and complete my entire 5 years in an IIM? This is the most frequently asked question to us. What, according to you, should be the answer to this question?
So I remember the first time I heard IPM was when I was just graduating from my school in 2011. That is when this was, I think, started. Right. And one of my friends from my school was applying for the IIM Indore IPM, and she finally got it as well. And when she told me that she's doing IPM, that is the first time I had actually heard of this name, because that is when it was just starting. I think it has picked up a lot over the years now from where it was in 2011. and that makes me feel old a bit, but okay. I think it has picked up a lot. And so there are pros and cons of both the options, right? If you do an IPM directly versus you do a bachelor's in anything, be it BTech or BBA or whatever, and then do an MBA, there are pros and cons of both. I wouldn't say this one is definitely better or this one is definitely better. If you like management and you want to pursue it, IPM definitely helps because you are able to have a 5-year kind of a view into management. You don't have to again sit for an MBA. Your bachelor's is also in management. Your MBA is directly after that from one of the good colleges. So that kind of sets you in. But if you are not sure that you want to do management, then you have more flexibility if you do a bachelor's, because then you can change your mind in between. You can say that I've spent 3 years, I don't like it, I don't like management, I want to do something else, I want to appear for government exams, I want to do whatever, I want to study abroad, I want to do a master's in finance, say from London or US or whatever. I'm just making it up, but you have more flexibility if you are not sure what you want to do. So that is what I believe. There are these pros and cons associated to both, but definitely in terms of market knowledge and companies knowing it, IPM has improved a lot over the years. So, from where it was, it's definitely a very good career option if you definitely want to pursue management, and you are aware of it, which is more true in today's scenario because people are getting more aware. Like I was saying, students are on LinkedIn from 10th and 11th class, which is, I'm not saying being on LinkedIn means awareness, but it's just a sign that there is an increasing sign of awareness. So if you are aware of it, then that's a good option. But then that flexibility is the only thing that is slightly lacking.
Adding on to what you just said, you mentioned that IPM has grown drastically from 2011 to now. In the future, do you think it is still going to grow in the same rate or even exponentially? From a recruiter's or an organization's point of view, are they going to recruit IPM graduates or are they going to choose MBA graduates over them? What do you think? Because now, as time is passing, different IIMs are opening up the program, right from Rohtak, Ranchi, Bodhgaya, Jammu to maybe Shillong or any other IIM for that matter. We still don't know. But as a course, from an organization's perspective, do you think we'll have value, we'll have less or more value? What is the future going to be like?
So if I am a recruiter and if I'm looking at CVs, if I get 2 CVs, which are one is from IPM and one is just from an MBA, I don't think what would matter is whether it is from IPM or MBA. What would matter is your actual CV, right? I mean, the actual content on the CV. If you actually, because you're from the same institute, it is just IPM versus MBA, but you would be studying the same curriculum, you would be studying with the same peer set, is my assumption. Correct me if I'm wrong. But everything is the same. It is just that one person did a 5-year thing and another person did a 2-year thing. That is the only difference. I don't think that will matter. What is more important is how well you have performed during the course, which is your grades, right, and how well you've done your extracurriculars, etc. One area where a normal MBA student might have some benefit is that they might have a work experience before doing an MBA, in between their bachelor's and an MBA, right? That work experience is not a prerequisite for recruitment. Right? I did not have a work experience. I did my MBA directly after my BTech, but that did not stop anything. That work experience is never a prerequisite. That work experience just sometimes makes you more sure and confident about what you want to do, right? That is the only element that can kind of tweak the CV a bit, and especially if that work experience is in a good and relevant company, right? If that person wants to sit for consulting and that person already has a consulting work experience, then that might shift the CV. Consulting might not be the best example because everyone comes in consulting, but take investment banking, for example, or marketing or product management. All of these roles might have some benefit, but it would not be the turning point, because if you have an excellent profile and you are from IPM, the work experience is never the key criteria that determines whether your CV is selected or not. That can only be the criteria when two CVs are the same, and I have to choose which one looks better. Then I would probably go for a work experience, because that would just bring in more relevance.
Perfect.
I hope
that
that answers
answers perfectly. One last question from my side, like personally, is you have a research internship from London Business School, if I'm not wrong. So you must have seen both education systems, the Indian education system and the foreign education system. And I mean, maybe in research internship, you might not have learned like proper classes and everything, but you have knowledge about both the education systems. So according to you, is it worth for a student who has finished his UG to like study abroad, given the amount of fees that we pay, which is exponential to what we pay at India? So is it worth paying so much? And of course, returns are different. Return on investment calculations of pros and cons are there. But based on the quality, just confirming, is the foreign education system better than the Indian education system?
You're talking about UG or postgrad?
Postgraduate.
Postgraduate for MBA, etc., right? MBA or masters.
Yes.
So that depends on your goals and where you are getting your admission in India versus abroad. So I'll compare. I was also in a similar situation when I was actually appearing for exams. I was wondering if I should actually go for a foreign MBA or do it directly from India. So what helps is if you are getting it, if you are getting a very, very top college in India, right, among the top IIMs, for example, or the equivalent, which is XLRI, right, or FMS, then that definitely, and so that is one set of options if you are getting this. And if you are not getting the very top in the top of the colleges abroad, right, if you're getting a 7th or 8th ranker or a 9th ranked college in the US, if I have to compare the two and you are indifferent where you want to work after your MBA, I would still go for the India option, right? Because that the return on investment is just massive. Plus, you can always switch to a career abroad if you want to, if that has been your mind. Like I'm currently in Houston, I shifted later, I did my MBA in India and then I shifted to the US. So you can always shift later if you want to, but that is definitely a better option from an ROI perspective. If you are getting Harvard or Stanford or Wharton, for example, and you are not getting a good college in India, which would rarely be the case, but if that happens, then obviously you have to look at your finances. If you are comfortable with the finances, you might have to take a loan, which is not something that is recommended at such a young age, because you have an additional burden on top of you. But if you are comfortable with all of that, and you want to work outside US, because it will not make sense to get an MBA or a master's abroad and then come back to India to work, again from an ROI perspective. So if you're okay with all of that, you'll get great exposure if you study abroad, right? I did 1 year, it was almost a 9-month master's in management from Germany, right, during my exchange year from my MBA days. And definitely the exposure that you get, the peer group that you have is very, very culturally diverse, right? And very, very different from how you would experience it in India. So it's a different set of learning. It's a more multifaceted, multicultural set of learning. So that is definitely a good exposure if you are comfortable with all of that. Those are two scenarios. Third scenario is you're getting the top colleges in India as well as abroad, right? Which is a very good situation to be in, to be honest. So if you are getting an IIM Ahmedabad versus you're getting a Harvard Business School and you have to choose between the two, right? That is where, I would say it's almost indifferent, right? Any option you go for is good. That again depends on what you want to do completely. You will not be at a bad state either ways, right? If you want to work in India for sure because of whatever reasons, family, responsibilities, or you have a startup idea that works the best in India, right? So you can kind of go for an MBA here, and also like me, try for a master's in management abroad if you want to, as an exchange. That can definitely help. The other option is, of course, going to the top schools. One thing that we have to be careful is the top schools in the US require a lot of work experience, 2 to 3 years minimum, which is not the requirement here. So you will have to take a break and work. If if that is okay, then that's a different thing. But that break is there. You would have to work for 2 3 years before you actually do your MBA. That is not a requirement here.
Okay, thank you so very much. Our questions from our side are done. We'll open the floor to if any of the people in the Zoom chat right now who are with us, like they've been learning with us. So if they have any questions, we can go ahead with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, Lakshya.
Hi. So like my question is just an extension of the previous one. Like you were talking about Indian and abroad education. Let's say like you're working in US, right? So the environment over there, the work environment, where a top MBA grad from India comes and a top grad from the US comes and they are working. So what difference do you feel? What is the difference that you feel in the roles or responsibilities and incentives there?
Good question, Lakshya, and nice to meet you. In terms of roles and responsibilities, if you are shifting within the same stream, it will not be different, right? You are doing the same thing because you are in the same, like for me, it's the same company and the same role. I just shifted laterally across countries. That does not change the work that I do, and that does not change my responsibilities. It's just a different location and a different set of people that I'm working with, which will be true if you are doing the same kind of thing, right, in both the places. But other than that, the differences that you would see is more around soft aspects, right? Because when you are working abroad, the cultural aspect becomes much more important. You can't assume a lot of things, right? Which we do in India. You have to be very explicit in your communication. You have to be very soft in your communication, which is very different. Like that is something that I realized when I came here, because people might take your cues differently in different cultures. What you want to say might be interpreted differently by different people depending on where they are from, right? So all of those things change, which you can adapt, because as you get to know different things, you get to adapt your style. But apart from that, the type of role is the same. If you're shifting within the company in the same role, the responsibilities are the same. That said, if you are applying abroad from a fresh side, right, you're not working in India, but just directly applying abroad, then that completely depends on the role and responsibility. No employer would distinguish between you and another person in the same role just because of your nationality. That is for sure. So, if you're working in the US, you have an American and you have an Indian doing the same role, there is absolutely zero discrimination that you would see, be it in terms of the job that you are given, be it in terms of the responsibilities. The main reason for that is that a lot of people here are from different countries. So the way this works is because, people from different countries are here and working together. I don't know if that answers your question.
Yeah, that does. Thank you so much.
Yeah. So one of the aspirants has even asked that people do tend to break down at different points of time. What keeps you going? Because you're not stopping. I mean this in a very good way, that you're unstoppable. Like you just keep going on to new things. So what keeps you going, and are there any low points? And if there are, how do you motivate yourself?
No, there will be low points in whatever you do, unless you are a complete robot. It's difficult to not break down at any time, and it's okay to break down. What keeps me going is the fact that I like and thrive on challenges, and doing things which are not in my comfort zone. For some reason, that just gives me a dopamine hit, right? If I try something new, that just helps me overcome any anxiety that I'm feeling, because that gives me a lot of happiness. And I use the term dopamine because that is exactly what it is, right? Be it dancing, be it I also did a course on scuba diving, which is also completely different. I just like doing a lot of these things because those help me get over anything that I'm facing, either in my work or wherever, right? Traveling, all of that. So this will be different for different people, right? So for some people it might be spending time with family, for some people it might be traveling, for some people it might be pursuing a hobby, be it gardening, be it music, whatever. Find something that acts as a stress buster, and something that can help you get up whenever you're feeling down, right? And it's okay to kind of take a break and pursue that activity for a short time until you're normal. When I took that 45 days break, when I went to Europe, at that time I was under a lot of stress at work. I was in a project which was very, very intense, right? And at one point I was like, I just want to take a break and think, refresh myself, right? Because that was a time when I was feeling low, right? That I really wanted uh, to refresh myself. And that is because and that is why I kind of went to Europe, because there are 2 3 things that I love doing. I loved writing, I love traveling, I love dancing, and I combined all 3 in those 45 days, right? So that is why I was like, I'll just go to Europe, I'll dance, I'll write, and I'll travel. And that helped me, because after I came back, I have not taken a break after that. Not taken a long break. I've taken vacations to travel again, but not a long break. So always know, like, knowing what can kind of bring you up is important. That awareness is important. It could be anything, but just knowing that and then acting on it is important, and that's what keeps me going. The fact that I do a lot of things is the only thing that prevents me from not feeling the stress at work, because when I'm dancing, I'm completely lost in it. I can't even imagine work at that time. When I'm writing, that kind of also gives me a dopamine hit and kind of helps me keep going. So if you're just doing one thing all the time, that is when you would start feeling low, because you do not have something to bring you back up.
Okay, thank you so much for that answer. And Darsh is asking that basically there are times where he feels that the entire 9 to 5 structure would be something that would be boring or monotonous to pursue for a long period of time. So what are your thoughts on that? Because our generation right now is all about everyone wants to do startup, no one wants to go for 9 to 5, but a lot of people don't realize that a startup is 9 to 9. It is even more stressful. So what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I mean, I think the traditional 9 to 5 is anyway going away, because like you said, startup is also 9 to 9. But if you are in a job which you like, regardless of the time, whether it is 9 to 5 or it's 9 to 9, you would be okay. That is one. So when we say 9 to 5, we kind of just merge all the jobs into 9 to 5 and say that whatever we do, it would be 9 to 5 and it is boring, right? Which is not true, because within 9 to 5, each job has its own charm, and that charm differs from person to person, right? My job is not 9 to 5; it is almost 9 to 9, but I still love it because it has a charm for me. There are many consultants who don't love their job, right? For them, it is a stressful environment. A lot of people leave consulting as well. So, but they might find their charm in some other job, which can be 9 to 5, which can be a startup, which can be anything, right? You can get burned out anywhere. You can get bored anywhere. You just have to keep finding something that challenges you every day. If you are in a 9 to 5 and you are feeling bored, you're not feeling challenged, you can take out time to challenge yourself outside the job, right? You can always pursue side gigs. You can grow yourself personally via hobbies. You can grow yourself professionally via courses, right? You can ask for more opportunities at work. You can always go out of your particular division and ask for work. You can be more proactive at work. Even if after all of that you're not feeling challenged enough, then obviously you can change your job. But just going to a startup is not always the solution, because obviously if you have a startup idea and you're able to implement it, that's good. But a lot of my friends are doing startups. It's not going to be it's going to be challenging for sure, but it's not it's going to be hard work as well. It's not that I'm feeling bored, so let me do a startup. If you have an idea and you're truly dedicated towards it, that is when a startup would succeed. That would take up almost all of your time, right? So that's how I would say. I don't believe in the traditional 9 to 5. It really depends on person to person.
That makes a lot of sense, because I mean, if you're enjoying something, you would want to do it for as long as is possible. Shreyans from the live chat is asking you to explain in layman's term what consulting is. Like, if you had to break it down very simply, how I know we spoke about how a day in a life of a consultant is, but just in layman's term, if you could explain it to some student who wishes to look at it as a possible career path.
Definitely. So assume that you have a company named XYZ, right? Now this company XYZ is not doing well in finances, right? It could be that their revenues are not growing at the level that they want to. So they need some external help to identify the problems in their work streams, right? So because they've tried everything that they are doing internally, it's not working out. So they go to a consultant. It could be any of the top consultants or lower ones, depending on the budget that they have. They go to them, they ask for help. They say that, look, our revenues are not growing up. We want your help. So we would, at that time, we would come in, we would we would work very closely with them. We would look at their revenue streams. We would see that, okay, if you are getting revenue from say 10 sources, right? These are the 5 sources which are growing. These are the 5 sources which are not growing. So we've broken down the problem that we started with was revenue is not growing. We took that problem and we broke it down into saying that, okay, these 5 streams are not growing. Everything else is fine. So let's not think about everything else. Let's only focus on these 5. Now we take these 5, we start comparing for each revenue stream. We start looking at what are the problems that are coming in. Some problems could be internal. Some problems could be industry specific, right? So we might say that, okay, if you do this particular kind of a solution, this will work because a lot of competitors are doing it, or because this is very good, this is best practice, or because this aligns with what you are already capable of, right? So we finally break it down even further, and we keep doing it. We take a very, very vague problem and we break it down in a structured manner to arrive at a solution which will work, right? That is the essence of consulting. That vague problem could be anything. I took an example of revenue. It could be profitability, right? A company might say my profits are not doing well. So my revenue might be increasing, but my costs are very high. So how do I lower down my costs? Then I look at various cost streams. I look at their operating costs. I look at their fixed costs, right? I look at all the different elements that go into the cost, and then identify what is the problem. Where are they losing out? And then we try to solve that. So, right, these are 2 examples. Then the examples could be that a company wants to enter a new market, right? I sell furniture, but I sell only office furniture so far. I want to also start selling home furniture, which is very similar to what I've been doing so far, right? But how do I enter this market, right? Who are the competitors? Are my strengths aligned with what I want to achieve in this market, right? This could be another set of problem. Or it could be that I'm a US based player. I want to enter in India. I don't know anything about this market. Help me out, right? These are some examples. There could be so many more, right? I want to increase the sales of my product in markets. I'm struggling. I have not been able to increase my sales. How do I do it? we always start with very vague problems, right, which are usually 1 line or 2 line statements. But when we actually start working with the client, actually start looking at data, start interacting, doing a lot of interviews, we actually start understanding the problem a lot more, and start strengthening or making the problem more concrete, right? So that we can tackle it in a better manner. That is consulting. It could be any industry, it could be any problem, it could be any client.
Thank you so much. I love how you summed up this entire answer. And you even, like, there was a question in the chat about, what is the most important part about solving a business problem. I think you covered that also very clearly when you spoke about how you break down different problems. I'll just come to the last question now. I'll be very cognizant of your time. So, any final advice you have to students that are confused? Because you are like an ideal example of how you tried so many different things, and everyone here agrees and accepts that you had a great life and a very successful career path. So any advice to students if they're confused, they're at a juncture of taking important decisions?
So it's okay to be confused. What's important is that you explore, and it's okay to explore and find that you don't like it, right? Because a lot of times we don't explore because we are afraid that if we start something, we might not like it. It's okay. You can switch, right? You might, like, I have a friend, and I give this example a lot. I have a friend who is in Germany. She did her bachelor's in economics. Then she did another bachelor's in film production because she wanted to be a film producer. Can you imagine that? Right. So it's okay to change your streams at any point of time right now, because there's a lot of opportunities available in a lot of streams. Right. So if you are confused because of that, because there are a lot of opportunities, try internships, try talking to a lot of people who are actually doing those particular fields, right? Talk to consultants if you want to do management consulting. That's what I did. I talked to a lot of alums who were into this field to understand what they actually do. Right. And I asked the same question, can you break down consulting for me in layman terms, because I don't understand it. Right. Talk to people in finance, talk to people in marketing, talk to engineers, talk to MBA graduates, talk to masters in finance students, talk to whoever you want to. People are usually okay to talk, to share their experiences. Do that, take courses, do internships. There are lots of opportunities that you can, take up to be able to make up your mind. And even after that, if you're not able to make up your mind, it's okay. You can do that even later. You can always switch. Even after starting your job, you can switch after a few years. That's okay, because right now it's accepted.
Okay, thank you so very much. This was supremely insightful for all of us, and it's very, very relevant also. And it was so nice to see someone who has such a dynamic personality. I mean, there are so many layers to everything that you have done, and I'm really, really glad that you took out the time early morning to talk to us. So thanks a lot.
Thanks, Vidika. Thanks, Navya. It's been great, speaking with all of you. I always love interacting with, bright young minds. So it's been a great pleasure. Thanks for having me here.
Yeah, thank you. So this will come up on our YouTube channel, UniVoyage. We are a group of IIM Indore, IIM Rohtak, IPM students. We like doing this, making videos and interacting with people, like how you like interacting on Quora. And I've heard that you engage even on Instagram with some people, whoever, reach out to you. So we like doing that, and you can check it out once it's up.
I'll do that. Wish you all the best.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye.